Welcome to the first of two videos that look at how different traditions view herbs in the same genus. In this video, I focus on the genus Angelica, where a number of cultures that had no contact with each other have used different local species of this genus as medicinal plants. This slide shows some of the species in the genus Angelica that have been used for herbal treatment. The Angelica used in Western herbal traditions in Europe is Angelica archangelica. In the eastern states of North America, the more local Angelica atropurpurea has been used. The roots, stems, seeds and leaves are used for treatment, and in the case of Angelica archangelica, the use of its essential oil is popular in Europe. Dioscorides, in the 1st century CE, mentioned Smyrnium, a related herb, for expelling menstrual flow and afterbirth, and for use in abortions. There is evidence that Angelica was actively traded by the Vikings since at least the 10th century CE. But the recorded use of Angelica dates back to medieval times, where legend has it that an angel revealed this herb to a Benedictine monk as a protection against the plague. Although it's unlikely that Angelica on its own could offer this protection, it was later used as one of the ingredients in the 4 Thieves vinegar, which apparently did provide some immunity. The common name for Angelica archangelica is garden angelica, or wild celery. In Western herbalism, it is called Angelica officinalis, as the pharmacy or storeroom of a monastery was called the officina. Some 60 native species can be found in temperate areas of the northern hemisphere. The plant has sweetly scented edible stems and oily roots. These are used for flavoring liqueurs such as chartreuse and benedictine. The stalks can be candied, and are used with other candied fruit in the Italian cake torta angelica. Here you have some Angelica archangelica bought in a reputable herbal store in California. As you can see, the roots have been cut up into fairly small pieces. This makes them ready for a tea or infusion, but unfortunately renders them more susceptible to drying. There is a nice aroma associated with the root, but it's relatively weak. I suspect this herb has been sitting in a jar for a while. Nevertheless, the volatile oils will come out again when it's doused with hot water to make a warm, relaxing tea. When we look at the chemistry of our herbs, we should first note that the main component of any plant in its natural habitat is water, and most herbs are distributed in dried form as a means of natural preservation. Plant ingredients have been divided into various categories that are associated with various properties and characteristics. Plants are natural factories of molecules, and they generate thousands of different molecules at different stages of their lives. The minor molecules can enable and modulate the properties of the dominant components. Thus, not only the plant part, but its geographic location and time of harvesting can determine its chemical composition, and hence affect its medicinal properties. Some of the main components of Angelica are its essential oils, flavonoids, tannins, resins, silica, carbohydrates, coumarins, organic acids and terpenes. Most of the analysis of its components has been done on its essential oils, as they lend themselves most easily to analysis in gas chromatography and mass spectrometry. There is evidence that these volatile oils have antimicrobial activity. Angelica also contains coumarins and furanocoumarins. These chemicals can provoke photosensitivity and interfere with certain medications, such as exacerbating the effect of anticoagulants. Angelica, like some of the foods we eat, contains phytoestrogens. There is still some uncertainty as to the effect of phytoestrogens on certain forms of breast cancer. Medicinally, Angelica archangelica can act as a tonic, especially when taken as a decoction. On the other hand, its volatile essential oils have an anxiolytic and calming effect. One of the most common uses of Angelica in the West has been as a digestive stimulant. As you can see here, it is an important component of Swedish bitters, which are very helpful for treating digestive issues. Amongst its other features, it is regarded as an antispasmodic, relaxing the muscles, especially of the intestines. It is a cholagogue, stimulating and releasing bile to help digest fats, and it is also a carminative, relieving flatulent dyspepsia. Angelica is a mild diaphoretic and can be used as an expectorant to relieve bronchial problems in colds. One of its important functions is as an emmenagogue, helping to induce menstruation. I'll talk more about that later. Also, as I mentioned previously, its phytoestrogens may have an effect on the estrogen cycles in the body. The essential oils have antibacterial and antifungal properties. The Native American Ethnobotany database gives extensive information on the use of different species of Angelica by Native American tribes. Perhaps the best documented is the use of Angelica atropurpurea by eastern tribes such as the Cherokee, Delaware, and Iroquois. This species was used for stomach disorders, as a carminative, a cold remedy, a febrifuge, and abortifacient. In the 19th century, with the arrival of European settlers on the American continent, an eclectic form of medicine was widely practiced. This school of medicine was strongly influenced by Native American medicinal methods and used local plants, as can be seen from this extract from the American Eclectic Dispensatory by John King. Angelica atropurpurea, which was commonly found in the eastern states, was viewed as an equivalent in its properties to European Angelica archangelica. In the West, the roots of Angelica tomentosa and californica were used by the Pomo, Kashaya, and Yana for colds, menstrual problems, and stomach aches. Michael Moore documents the use of Angelica arguta and pinnata, found locally in the Pacific West. Again, the herbs are used for digestive and gynecological problems. Moving on to Angelica sinensis, here is some dangui bought from my Chinese herbal provider. The Chinese community here in California consumes a lot of herbal medicine. The store where I bought it has a lot of traffic, which is a good sign, and these herbs are relatively fresh. You can see a full slice of root here, as well as some smaller slices. I can clearly feel the oily texture, and there is a strong aroma from its essential oils. In general, it's better to avoid buying herbs in powder form, and especially in capsules, as you can never be absolutely sure of the quality of the ingredients. I've covered the properties of dangui in some of my other videos, but here is a recap. According to TCM, dangui is sweet, acrid, and warm. Here it's interesting to note that in Western herbalism, Angelica is considered as a bitter rather than an acrid herb. Dangui is associated with the heart, liver, and spleen channels and organs. It tonifies and invigorates the blood, regulates menstruation, and alleviates pain. TCM views dangui more as a blood tonic and makes no mention of benefits for digestion. All the cultures I've considered record a beneficial relationship between certain local species of Angelica and women's issues. According to Rosemary Gladstar, dangui is more useful for toning and building the reproductive system. Angelica archangelica has a stronger, more medicinal action. It stimulates circulation to the pelvic region and serves to break up long-standing stagnation in the reproductive system, stimulating suppressed menstruation. Although certain cultures report the abortifacient property of Angelica, we should look at the effects of the herb in more detail. It's reported that dangui has a different effect on the uterus depending on its preparation. The volatile or essential oils have a relaxing effect, and so inhibit contractions of the uterus. This form can be helpful for dysmenorrhea when the herb is taken as an infusion. Once the volatile oils are excluded by extended boiling, a stimulating effect begins to dominate, so a decoction is more suitable if stronger contractions are required. In either case, Angelica should be taken with care in pregnancy. Japan and Korea exercise forms of herbal medicine that are closely related to traditional Chinese medicine. In Japan, the more local Angelica acutiloba is used in similar manner to Angelica sinensis. In Korea, Angelica gigas is used. In the Angelicas we have considered so far, the volatile oils have an important medicinal effect, so freshly picked wild or cultivated Angelica can be particularly potent. In wildcrafting, you have to be very careful in identifying Angelica. As you can see from these photos, it is very easy to confuse Angelica with toxic variants, such as water hemlock and poison hemlock. An intriguing separate issue is that two species of Angelica are treated as completely different herbs in China. Baizhi is Angelica dahorica. Apart from the way that it's sliced, Baizhi is drier in texture than Angelica sinensis. It's placed in a completely different category of herbs than dangui. Baizhi is classified as one of the warm herbs that release the exterior, while dangui is regarded as a blood tonifying herb. Baizhi releases the exterior, disperses cold, dispels wind, relieves pain, frees the nasal orifices, and dries dampness. In particular, it's used for treating frontal headaches. Duhuo is Angelica pubescens. It belongs to the category of warm herbs that dispel wind dampness. It's used to treat painful obstruction in the lower part of the body. In summary, a number of species of Angelica have been identified by different cultures on separate continents. These herbs have been used as medicine for centuries, and remarkably, many of these species share similar properties. It should also be noted that there are at least 2 toxic species of Angelica. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you'll join me for future videos in this series.